Okay, so let's start on the back. Oh, with your knees bent.
See, now out of the picture.
So as we're lying here, let's find three things. First, let's find the ground and really tap into how the ground feels beneath the body. And so whatever points of contact your body has with the floor, just feel the weight that's there, how your body connects. The spaces that exist between the floor and your body. And also get a sense of your weight on the ground. So notice that certain parts might feel heavier than others. And really give in to that weight. And then usually what happens is after you start to kind of find your body in space, connect with the ground, then automatically the breath just kind of kicks in. Maybe it becomes a little deeper, or maybe there's a sigh, whatever you notice about the breath. Notice how each part of the breath feels different. So when we inhale, we feel maybe expansion, maybe different parts of our bodies on the floor. And when we exhale, it's a different sensation, maybe a coming together towards the belly, maybe a release through the limbs. And maybe even becoming aware of parts of us that are holding tension and that may or may not want to let go. Just respecting that, but also inviting a letting go through the breath. So we found the ground, we've found our breath. We continue to be aware of the ground and the breath. The next principle that we start to explore is movement. But we arrive at movement by way of the breath. So notice first just how the body moves with the breath. It rises, it falls. And then just start to let the breath grow the movement. So maybe you start to feel more of your spine on the ground. As you inhale, maybe part of your back goes towards the ground. Maybe there's a lengthening through the spine. Wagging dog tail. And also notice like the desire to move or the desire to be still, and either of those two things can be present. And so let's just begin some gentle, very small kind of cat-cow movements on our back here. So we're tilting the pelvis down towards the feet and then back up towards the head. But really focus on how the spine is moving away from the ground and then towards the ground. And let the breath initiate whether you're arching or flattening the back. And can you start to breathe into more of the rib cage and allow some expansion, some opening through the ribs and chest. Can you allow the bones of the rib cage to be heavy, even as you breathe and move, just surrendering to gravity. And start to explore maybe what you can release through the belly. If you're arching your back and your chest is opening towards the ceiling, can you release the air in the belly towards the floor, even as you stay extended through the back and open the chest? And let's start to bring the arms a little more overhead, so maybe cactus arms to start. Just to feel again more of an opening through the chest. Notice if it changes the relationship of the neck to the rest of the spine. And let's return to the belly and that feeling as we arch and flatten. Can you empty the belly even as you press it towards the earth behind you? Can you bring that tissue in and up? Feeling contraction, a tightening around the core. So really go into that belly tissue and just play around and see what you can discover about how it can move with and around the breath, how it can tighten and release in different ways. Just explore the belly, kind of rippling and rolling and maybe just twisting ever so slightly to the right and left. Good, and still feeling connected through the feet, which sometimes get lost. So see now if you can feel your feet, the back of your pelvis, and the back of your two shoulder blades. Back of the head as well. So those 4 points of weight. And let's start to wake up now more of the upper back. So we've been arching and flattening, you can still be doing that. But we're also going to start to move one shoulder blade in towards the center of the spine. So it might be a very small movement, just a contraction on one side. And as a result, that side waist may shorten a little, the other side may lengthen. But just focus on moving that wing bone in and back out. Same side, just in towards the spine. And back out with the breath. And then you can start to explore the other side as well. So bringing the other wing bone towards the center of the spine. It might feel as though you're making a little bit of a C curve in the back. But stay connected through the feet, the back of the hips, the back of the head. Good, and just keep breathing. Now start to feel kind of a snake-like movement through the spine. So you might feel from the tailbone or maybe more in the upper back, just this kind of sliding on the floor towards the center of the spine and away. Moving from the wing bone or maybe the waist or even the pelvis. So just let whatever wants to arise happen. And you can even let your head start to move side to side as you move, so you can feel that rolling of the back of the head on the ground. And still let the breath kind of lead you or be the impetus for how you're moving. Let's bring the arms up in towards the sky and just let the hands fall back towards the face. So you can maybe rest either your hands on your forehead or you can rest your hands at your throat. So just let your hands rest somewhere back towards your body. And then still get a sense of moving one shoulder blade in towards the spine and the other just kind of follows and moves the opposite direction. And you might want to play around your arms. What we're working towards here, we want to open up the rib cage from the lower ribs all the way up to the collarbone area. So use your arms in any way you want to kind of feel as though you're opening the ribs back and up. Feel long through the trunk. Stay rooted through your feet as you reach, maybe even reaching with your arms overhead and feeling that full length. Notice when you inhale, it's easier to open and reach, and when you exhale, the ribs want to come back together towards the lower back. Just let that happen. Good. You can release your arms if you want to back to the side. Or keep exploring with them overhead, whatever you like. And then at some point, just come back to a place of stillness, neutral, let everything be. And just notice any sensation in the body from having moved with the breath. And begin to let your knees just fall off to one side. Keep your feet connected to the ground on the edge of the foot. Reach away with the top knee or the knee of the leg that's on top. Notice how your back might arch with that. And let it grow. Feel the upper back peeling away from the ground as your weight moves into upper back, shoulders. Breathe deeper than you think you can. And then roll back to neutral. And then let your knees fall the other direction. Staying on the edges of your feet. Let that motion grow and let that top knee reach away from your body. And let the arching through the back grow. bringing that shoulder towards the buttocks and breathing deeper than you think you can. And rolling back to neutral. Good, let's extend the legs, kind of shake out and having had the knees bent. And you can point and flex the feet and also open and close the hands. So just feel the full line of fascia, that connective tissue that runs from fingertip to fingertip and foot to top of head. And squeeze and release hands and feet. Good. Start to rotate wrists and ankles. We're going to come in towards the center of the body. So from wrists and ankles, we start to get into elbows and knees. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. Just explore bringing one joint at a time into the equation. So now we have fingers and toes, ankles, elbows and knees. Good, and let's start to add the hips. So maybe you have to pick up one leg at a time to start exploring some hip movements. Maybe you're still on the floor. Lots of different ways to explore this. And then maybe getting in some shoulders too. So maybe one shoulder at a time. So just be curious, what kind of movements can you do that involve all of those joints? We're very snaky tonight. Good, and then let the shoulders relax again. Let the hips relax again. Back to the knees and elbows, wrists and toes. And slowly back to a still place. Deep breath. Just noticing any sensations in the body, warmth, tingling, aliveness, fatigue. Okay, so we are going to roll onto one side to come up. And we're going to stand. So having your feet about hip width apart, kitty cat. So feet about hip width apart, just begin to feel weight through each surface of each foot. And notice how the body moves as the feet change from right to left in weight. What's happening to the upper body? And see if you can find maybe a pattern that you're tracing. Maybe it feels like it's linear, right to left. Maybe it feels more like an infinity with the hips. And start to exaggerate movement. Good. And so really work through start to feel the shoulders wanting to open and stretch and pull. Stay with the breath. Just kind of notice all those lines of tension that run through the back and the arms, and how if you reach in different ways, you feel that tension line. And how it can move into the neck and the head. And see if you can start to explore the space around your body. You can imagine that we're in this big sphere that covers the whole body. And start to reach to feel the perimeter of that sphere. And notice how by reaching out to it, there comes tension into the arms. That tension can reach and explore. Stay aware of how grounded you are through your feet. What happens if you move the hands in unison versus in two different directions? Does it feel different if you move one hand forward, one hand back? And can you allow a movement of the pubic bone forward to extend the back even as you move? So what we don't want to feel like we're crunching our lower back together to do this. So we have to have the weight somewhat on our toes, less than the heels, and allow the pelvis to move forward, but still grow upward. Good. So it's kind of like we're in the Matrix, you know? Yeah. And just notice how your core is supporting you here. Good. And then let's come back to a neutral position and just stand for a moment. It's exhausting. Noticing any sensation, blood flow, aliveness, tingling. She has a menagerie of animals. Okay, so we're gonna open the legs a little more wider, and the toes should be, they can be placed forward if you like, and you just bend your knees, or you can open your toes, or whatever feels more comfortable. And then just see how far down you can go without being just uncomfortable through the knees. And while you're here, let your lower back drop towards the floor. So kind of opening up. And then also find, so you might want to stand a little wider, Paula.
Wider than that then.
Yeah, just so you're,
Wider than that.
that's good. Okay. Yeah. So I'm finding the weight on the balls of the feet and light on the heels. And just keep working to feel some freedom through the lower back. So you want to feel as though everything is letting go towards the floor. And there's some opening and space being created in the lower back. And you can come up at any time. And if one leg starts to get tired, change and shift to one toe and then release. Go to the other side. See if you can let go of where you're feeling the tension. And see if you can find, like you can even come up and kind of shake it out. When you go back in, see if you can find how the bones can support you. So you're using less strength and grip and really finding the structure of the body. It might require you to open the legs or the knees more. Okay, coming down with your arms on either knee or just above. And then just kind of twist through, lengthening the spine forward and opening the knees back.
That feels nice.
Yeah. And then back to center, and you can switch sides or take a break. So the trick is to keep the spine nice and long so our shoulders don't creep around our ears. Keep open through the neck. And you can do each side again, or you can take a break. I just need a little shaky. Okay, and then you can bring your hands to the floor, if you can. Your butt can rise up into the air. Okay, and just hang here. You can still kind of shift your weight right to left and kind of feel a stretch through the inner thigh, leg, inner leg, thigh, whatever. Or you can simply be in a forward fold here. So again, your weight is kind of moving back towards your heels. Just bring it back towards the balls of the feet. Try not to lock your knees. But imagine that the tissues of the backs of your legs are moving into that space behind you and widening behind you. Good, let's crouch. So we're going to walk the feet in towards the center and then come into a squat. Just hang out here. You can, if this is deep enough and you're feeling it, that's fine. If you want to use your elbows to kind of open the knees back and stretch more in the inner leg. And then you can also just kind of shift your weight from one foot to the other for a different sensation through the legs. And then let's see if we can do a little toe stand. So balancing. And feel free to try your arms in different ways. Or at the center of the chest. And just notice how your toes may be shifting, maybe gripping and letting go to help you balance. Opening the knees behind you. Okay, and then let go. Very good. Oh gosh. Bring the legs together. Oh, good. Okay. Sitting in rock pose for a moment. If you need a cushion or anything, feel free. So depending on how you feel on the tops of your feet, you can lean back ever so gently and slowly and just start to lift your knees, and it's going to stretch the tops of your feet, but just go gently. It doesn't have to be deep thing or anything. Okay, and then coming into an open leg position. Okay, so just having the hands somewhere in front of you and just having active feet. Just notice where you're feeling it. If you feel like your back is rounding and you want to make sure to sit up, maybe even bend your knees, tilt your pelvis forward. And if it's too deep of a stretch, you can always walk it back and bring your legs closer together. We want to come to a place where we're really comfortable here so we can do a little bit of a flow. So we're going to turn the body towards the left leg and then bring the head towards that leg as far as you care to. And then come up. And then rotate to the other side, same thing. So we're just going to go back and forth. You can go at your own pace. And each time, just notice if you get a little closer or things feel a little more or even less flexible. Feet are active, the knees are slightly bent. Exhaling when you come down towards the leg. And you keep both hips on the ground even as you reach one side to the other. A couple more times each side. And then the next time you come up, just come through center and then walk yourself forward, and you can rest wherever is comfortable. Like bending your knees and active.
Right.
And slowly coming back up with your hands. And then we'll get you flop the legs together. And now just do a forward fold. So again, making sure that your back is nice and tall. You're sitting on your sit bones. Just letting the hands come forward with a flat back as far as is comfortable. The toes are active, the knees are bent slightly. And you can round all the way down if that's comfortable. Thirty more seconds. Use your breath. And when you're ready, you can start to walk up. And then we're gonna come into cow face pose. So that's one leg crossed over the other. The knees are pointing forward. The legs can be open, so it doesn't have to be, you don't have to pull them back unless that's comfortable. And you can also you can hold your leg if that's more comfortable than just hanging. And again, sitting up nice and tall. And just trying to find a place where the legs can kind of release. And so if this is too deep, again, you can shift and lean more back. Or you can open your legs slightly. And let's also add eagle pose for this. So the leg that's on the bottom is going to be the arm that's on the top. So you're going to cross the other arm under. So the top arm, or the top knee arm goes under. And then you bring your palms together or just open them to the side. The other thing you can do is just like genie arms. What we want to feel is the pulling apart of the shoulder blades. So it can be achieved in different ways. And then twist and release. Open the arm. And then we'll cross the legs the other way. Take your time. Work out any tension or kinks. This side might feel really different, so you might have to adjust something. Is this feeling okay, Paula?
Yeah.
Okay, so nice and tall on your sit bones. You can also do this with one leg. So that's another option. And then crossing one arm over the other way. Move arms. We'll pet the cat. I'm trying to breathe into that space between the shoulder blades. And then opening the arms, reaching them open. And I'm crossing it like this. Okay, we're going to come on to belly. Oh, yay! No, just like we did on the back, feeling the weight of the body, front body. Also being aware of the openness of the back body. And as you breathe, just notice how the body moves towards and away from the floor with each breath.
Keep it soft.
So there are all the obvious places to feel the breath through the belly, through the ribs, chest. But maybe you can also feel that slight pulse in the feet, along the legs, or even into the arms. You might notice, because we did the cow face pose with the crossed legs, that can really open up the back, the lower back. So you might feel some kind of unique sensations going on there. Well, I'd like to explore, and this might be a little difficult to get, but we're going to give it a shot. So With each breath, when you exhale, what I want you to feel as though you're landing on the ribs, on the upper ribs. So as you exhale, feel the breath pours out of the body, and there's this landing through the upper ribs. And then as you breathe in, the back might lift a little towards the ceiling, belly lifts, or maybe plunges toward the ground, and the wave moves back. So I just want you to play with how the breath moves in a wave. So as you breathe out, everything releases downward, and feel the landing of the ribs, the upper ribs. Maybe you can even feel how some of the vertebrae in the back move and create space. Play with a sense of this wave of breath. And notice that at either end of the breath, there's this potential for the body to respond. So as you empty, and you find that emptying towards the upper ribs, there's this impulse or slight tendency or possibility for the neck to lengthen and for the head to become almost weightless. And it's not a control thing, it's all because of the breath. So this is similar to what we were doing when we were on our backs, and I just kind of had you move like a snake on the ground. So kind of the same thing here. Letting your spine kind of lift away from and then towards the floor. And as you do, just notice how the shoulders kind of roll with that movement. Maybe the pelvis even lifts. It's this undulation, snake-like undulation. See if you can use this breath, this undulation, to use the middle back to lift the head from the ground. So the head will stay heavy, but it will lift from the middle back. And if you're not sure if you're getting it, just assume you're doing it right and just keep exploring. And if you find a place where you can lift your chest from the ground, the head is still heavy, but it's like the back of somebody's picking you up from the scruff of the back of your neck, like a cat. So let your head hang, your chest can peel from the floor, and you can use some of the contact of your arms with the ground to kind of push and contribute to that push upward. So what we're doing is a very different kind of version of a Sphinx or a Cobra pose. Instead of pushing ourselves up with our arms and jarring ourselves up with the back, it's all related to the breath and how we're grounding and using the body on the floor. Lift into a back bend. As big or as little as you care to make it. And as soon as you feel like, okay, I've got something here, but now I'm starting to control into what I know to be Sphinx. And try to just let go of that control again. Go back to the breath. Let the body be heavy. Let go of the arms, the legs, and find it again in that undulation through the spine.
Okay.
You feel confident you can rest.
No.
Crisis. A lot. Life taking last. So bring the knees up if they aren't already. Just let the knees, or the ankles rather, fall from side to side.
You stink.
Sorry. I did take a bath last week.
She didn't, Doug.
And as you continue to let the legs roll, see if you can let go of a lot of the control of it and just let them kind of be floppy, especially as you land on one side or the other. Hmm. Good, and then just let the legs back down. You're gonna push back into any variation of child's pose you want. So puppy pose, child's pose, legs closed, legs open. Just letting that back now open and soften.
Your bulldog.
And then you can make your way into Shavasana on your back.
That means no dogs. No.
So as you rest and just allow the body to unwind from everything we've done, letting it find its place again on the back here. We're going to cycle through each of the elements. And I'm going to invite you to use the elements to cleanse the body. So we're going to start with earth. So just feel your connection to the ground again, this gravity and this pull downward. And the element of earth that gives nutrients, elements, everything the body needs to sustain itself. This growing, living being and our connection to its life force. And then calling in the element of water. So many forms of the same thing. Bubbling, tidal, still, all kinds of water. But all of it cleansing and purifying and refreshing. And our body is so much water. Often thought of as relating most to our emotional body. So letting all that emotional material that we carry just to be purged and flushed. And then tapping into air. That freshness, that breath. in all kinds of temperatures. Imagine it being pine-scented and so alive and invigorating as you breathe it into your lungs. And it circulates and fills your blood with oxygen. Sweeps away all the thoughts of the days and weeks, leaving a clear head, clean body. And then moving on to fire. A hungry, passionate fire that burns away all the useless, the old, makes room for new growth. Purifies in its own way with heat. It's the fire of our will, the fire of our imaginations, our creativity. Let it burn away stress and tension. And replace it with a warm glow. And then finally we can call upon ether or space. Some may think of it as emptiness, but it's also so full and mysterious. It's often considered connected to our connection in spiritual ways. So allow the mystery to fill you, to sustain you, and to cleanse and bless you. Make space for the things you want. Create space by letting go. Deep breath. And you can begin to move fingers and toes, or your body in any way that feels good. Okay, let's rub our hands together. And deep breath. You can hold it and then release it when you need to. And then we'll tune out. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. 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 Om